So hello and welcome to this video. My name is Jason Simmons. I'm a hypnotist and I'm also one half of Mapping Minds. And I wanted to make a quick video because I'm often asked how I start my presentation, either in a street or a stage setting. So I just wanted to run you through one of the processes that I use. So after the general introduction with people and the sort of pre-talk, if you like, I would go into something that's called a suggestibility test, and one of the suggestibility tests that I would use is called magnetic fingers. So a suggestibility test is what it says on the tin. It's looking for people that are more suggestible, people that aren't going to resist. So sometimes it can be known as a resistance test because you're looking for also for people that are, aren't going to resist what you're asking them to do. And the idea is that you start off with something small, so you put small suggestions out, and the people that are following the smaller suggestions are more likely to follow the larger suggestions later on. So what I'll do is, if I'm working with either a group on a stage or a group in a street performance, is I'll ask everybody to stand up, and I'll say to them, place your feet flat on the floor. The reason for asking for this, there is no reason. You're just looking for who is complying with what you're doing. Most people will have their feet flat on the floor. So I ask them then, place them roughly shoulder width apart, and again I'm looking for the people that are following my suggestions. So I may move people around at this point, particularly on a stage setting. I'll move people, move their seats, or swap them around. And the reason I'm doing this is to see who's complying, and I'm building what is known as a yes set. And a yes set is that I'm asking you to do something, you're following it. So by you following it is a yes. So once I've done that, I'll say, I'd like you all to follow after me. This is an exercise to see how well you concentrate. So even though this is a test, I don't present it as a test. And I think this comes from maybe Anthony Jacquin's book, Reality is Plastic, is that if you suggest it's a test, then people either think they've got to pass or fail. Some people also think that it's like a challenge. So I say this is an exercise, and I think that phrasing comes straight out of Reality is Plastic. This is an exercise to see how well you concentrate, or an exercise to see how good your imagination is. So I say I'd like you to follow after me and place your hands out in front of you like this. Bring the palms together and cross the fingers, interlock the thumbs. Bend your elbows, and what I'd like you to do is raise your first fingers, your index fingers, the fingers closest to you, straight up. You could say stick them out here. In a moment I'm going to ask you to spread your fingers an inch apart. Spread your fingers an inch apart and look at the gap between those fingers. Because in a moment, those fingers are going to come together just like magnets. That is it. They're already going. When they touch, just allow your eyes to close. That's it. Almost coming together now. As soon as they touch, just allow those eyes to close. And then you could leave them here for a minute. You could say to them, take a nice deep breath in. As you exhale, just to relax those hands and open them. Well done. You've done fantastically well. So that is magnetic fingers. So here I'm looking for compliance. So place your feet flat on the floor, roughly shoulder width apart. Put your hands out in front of you. Interlock the fingers. See that you can use the phrase in it, interlock, is already suggesting that they're going to lock together later on. Bend your elbows. Raise your first fingers. Make it clear, and I often do this with them because some people may not know what their index finger is. So I'd say raise your first fingers, your index fingers, the closest fingers to you. Look at the gap between your fingers, nobody else's, because at this point you'll see some people looking around. So I often say, look at your fingers, look at the gap between your fingers, because in a moment those fingers are going to touch. And this is what I'm looking for, is people whose fingers touch. That's it. And you want to suggest this, so you want to tell them that allow their eyes to close before the fingers touch. So if you see the fingers coming together like this, make sure you get it in. As soon as those fingers touch, allow your eyes to close. So sometimes you have to be quite quick with that. And then I would usually finish it with take a nice deep breath in and just pretend and imagine that you're breathing in calmness. And as you exhale, you can open your eyes and relax even more fully and just allow those hands to come apart. And I say you've done brilliantly. That shows me that you've got a good imagination. So the magnetic fingers is a suggestibility test. I would use that at the beginning of a session with a group of people. And I always use that on a stage performance. I'll use it with the whole audience. In a street performance, I'll get all of the volunteers up. But I'm looking, and this is what you've got to do as a hypnotist, is look to see what it is that they're doing. Who are the best responders? Because if they're following those small suggestions now, then later on it's gonna make it a lot easier for you, and those are the ones that you're going to sort of take forward to test more work with. So that was magnetic fingers. I'm hoping to do a video a week covering a different either induction or a different part of the process that I use. So if there's anything that you want to know in particular, then do feel free to either drop me a link in the comments or send me a direct message. But you can subscribe to the page and follow me on other social media sites. I'm on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook as well. So do feel free to hit me up and ask me any questions you may have. So that's magnetic fingers, and have a great evening. Thank you.